annihilated. Yeah. Worldwide.
Howdy, folks. Thanks for tuning in. It is the 182nd edition of the MMA podcast. We got a ton to break down. Of course, this past Saturday, we had UFC Fight Night Vancouver, headlined by two dangerous welterweights, Damian Maia and Carlos Condit. Damian Maia looking unstoppable. He gets a win. Anthony Pettis gets a win. Paige Van Zandt and Jim Miller also get wins on that main card. We'll talk about that card, along with this Saturday's card coming from Hamburg, Germany, headlined by two legendary fighters in Andre Arlovski and Josh Barnett. Of course, the week in MMA news. Thanks for tuning in. Let's do it.
You're listening to the MMA Podcast.
That's right, Lenny Hart. It is the MMA Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. It is August 31st, 2016. Happy birthday to a good friend of mine, a one-time co-host of the MMA Podcast. He's called in a couple times. Brother of the legendary Westland Eagle, Hiro Shinwoo on Twitter, Hunter. It's his birthday today, so shout out to him. He was part of that crazy group, Alan, Hunter, Yao, Ross, and I, who went out and all of us split a room at the Mandalay Bay for a week at UFC 175 that whole week, and then the tough card where I watched my favorite fighter of all time, BJ Penn, get absolutely fucking decimated by Frankie Edgar in their trilogy fight. Dude, that hotel room smelled like bunk after a week of us. 1 week, 5 dudes. And most of them were like out training at Extreme Couture and shit. So add in sweaty pads, dirty laundry, 5 people times 7. That room, I distinctly remember thinking that morning before Yao, Ross, and I drove back to Denver, God damn, this is the worst smelling hotel room I've ever been in, and that's at no fault of the Mandalay Bay. In fact, they had an awesome beach and wave pool. If you go to Vegas, I recommend spending there. Going on random tangents already, three minutes in. Happy birthday, Hunter. He's at Hiro Shinwoo, so follow him, HeroShinwoo. Hunter is the man. You know who else is the man? P Money at Sweet Pappy Jones, the co-host tonight. Pat, what's going on?
20 Wayne Walters, you were too kind to me, sir. Always flattering me.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful Wednesday here. Just got done wrapping up UFC tonight. Hoping there was going to be a little bit of news broken on that show, so we could go live, go fresh with something hot for the people, Jake. We got that recap, as you mentioned, of this past Saturday's UFC Fight Night card. But not a whole lot was unveiled on UFC tonight. So we got a little card to break down for you for Saturday. And, definitely excited to chop it up with you as always.
Yeah, we try and do Wednesday night because I feel like Monday you've already got, a couple shows. You got the MMA Hour. I think the co-main event also comes out on a Monday. And Wednesday, it's right after UFC Tonight. There's usually a lot of news. Today's UFC Tonight, I think all they announced was GSP came on and was like, yeah, I've given them my terms and condition, and if they want to sign me, they can sign me. So it's still a stalemate, as it's been for the last year or two with GSP and the UFC. His last appearance at UFC 167 back November 2013, almost 3 years ago. So yeah, I don't know if he will be coming back or not. You would have to guess that if the UFC were to bring him back, they would want him to come on the UFC 206 card, being in Toronto. He has that major following in Canada, and it's the biggest arena they do shows in, so they would be looking to break the attendance record and get a crazy large gate. I guess let's get into UFC on Fox. Condit versus Maia, unless you have anything else to add. I gotta turn my gain up here a little bit. I'm not coming through hot with these hot takes.
I think that about sums it up, man. What was up with old Condit Maia, bro?
I don't know. We will get to the main event at the end, but did you watch the prelims? I caught the last 3 fights, so I didn't see Chad Laprise get that TKO, although I saw the highlights. Sam Alvey with another finish, second round. He's hard not to like. He's always smiling. He's active. He gets a lot of finishes. I mean, his last 2 fights, I think his last fight he finished Eric Spicely just last month. With a first-round guillotine choke. He's already had 3 fights, not just in 2016, but this summer. He fought in June, July, and August. So he's definitely active. Has fought at least 3 times every year, going back to 2009 when he started his career. What did you like in the prelims? Also, Kyle Bochniak and Alessio Di Chirico winning split decisions.
Well, I think for me, Smiling Sam, he definitely had to be my standout for the prelims. He's always fantastic. We had a chance to interview him on the MMA Mental with my boy Ray. Shouts out to Ray at MMA Mental. And Alvy, he really is a likable guy, very affable. Are you all right, Ray? Always rooting for him. He's definitely done fairly well for himself in this. I believe it's his second stint in the UFC. Really showing those hands, man. Getting it done against Kevin Casey. Let's see. That was really the biggest standout for me. Good finish from Chad Laprise and surprising finish from Felipe Silva. At least I did not expect to see that. Shane Campbell, a fairly well-regarded striker, getting TKO'd there. Found that to be a little surprising, but hey, love watching those finishes. Definitely some good action on the prelim portion of the card.
Yeah, and man, this actually it wasn't the deepest card, but the main card was underrated. This was actually one of my favorite main cards of 2016. You had Jim Miller and Joe Lauzon, who absolutely threw down just like their first fight. Split decision, 29-28, one fight of the night, because of course that fucking fight was going to win. We all knew going into that fight that it was going to be the fight of the night, and it played out to be just as entertaining as we thought it would be. Paige Van Zandt, I don't know whether to do it all one by one or do it in a group, but Paige Van Zandt with the switch kick knockout 17 seconds into the second round. Pettis with that slick guillotine choke in the third round. Maia with that slick, rear naked choke not even 2 minutes into the fight. Just what an entertaining main card, man.
Yeah, it really was a good main card. So much action from top to bottom. It was one of those ones that you on paper may not look like the biggest names or the biggest card or anything like that, but it's definitely provided a lot of action. I mean, that was gosh, I'm trying to think of who it was. We just saw it recently. Someone bust out the flying scissor head kick style. Oh my goodness, it is escaping me. I want to say it was Yair. No, it wasn't Yair Rodriguez, but Paige Van Sant pulling a very similar. Um, hers was more. Well, actually, hers was more of a switch kick, faking with the right low kick and then going to the left high kick. I mean, it was just fantastic all the way around. I mean, of course, everybody who remembers our show last week, your boy was saying to bet on Jim Miller because any underdog that is fighting in a rematch with someone they already beat, I mean, it was a split decision. It was a close fight, but hey, Jim Miller won. Jim Miller cashed. If you listen to your boy P Money, and man, it was great. Anthony Pettis versus Charles Oliveira. That was a wild fight, back and forth. Um, Anthony Pettis showing off those grappling chops. Definitely just a lot of fun all the way around. And Damian Maia just steamrolling Carlos Condit. It was amazing. I mean, Condit has good grappling chops, but kind of like a Diaz brother. Everybody says, "Oh, he's got good jiu-jitsu, but it's the takedowns." And for this, it was just a combination of everything. Damian Maia, doesn't matter who you are, he's going to get you down, and he's probably going to submit you, and that's exactly what he did to Carlos Condit.
Yeah, and just to back up, Miller versus Lau was on Absolute War. Both of those guys have earned their keep for sure. The other bonuses going to the aforementioned Damian Maia and dude Paige Van Zant. She's a part of this crop. I want to say these really young fighters, Max Holloway. Paige is 22, and she's doing serious things in her weight class, like Dancing with the Stars aside, looks aside, all of that. She's 7-2 in her career, an early loss to Tisha Torres back when Tisha was beating the fuck out of everyone in Invicta. Her other loss to Thug Rose, who has been looking amazing of recently. This is a talent in Paige where I could I don't know if she has the talent right now to go head to head with Joanna Champion. But give it a few years, dude. She's 22. That she's going to get stronger, get more cardio, learn more things. I think training with Alpha Male has done her really well, and I mean she pushes a pace for all 3 rounds. She's got a good wrestling arsenal. We saw that switch kick knockout followed by punches. Beck Rawlings has shown in previous fights that she has a chin. Paige, I don't know, man. You think about it long term. I wouldn't be shocked at all if she eventually, had what it took to be the strawweight champion. And then you include the other side of it, her looks, her marketability. She's already been on Dancing with the Stars, and she's fucking 22. If she developed the skills to become champion, she could turn into the next Ronda Rousey, the next big marketing name. I mean, everyone, she's already in Reebok ads and shit, or I think it's a Reebok ad, but yeah, man, this could be the start of one of the biggest mainstream careers, ever. If she becomes champ, a lot of people are gonna start tuning in, and nothing against Joanna, but having an American, fresh faced, hot as fuck American fighter, like people are going to tune into that.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely. I mean, UFC was already on that hype train and already trying to market her as such very early. I mean, the Sage and Paige hype train was in full effect almost the instant that they both got into the UFC, especially Paige Van Zandt, one of the marketable names as far as looks. And you know what? She does have the talent, though. And as you mentioned, just 22. And that is something, when they were first giving her this big push, that was the first thing I thought. She has a lot of talent, but it was a little too much too soon. And we saw that. But she came back. I mean, my goodness, this was a great showing for her against a very tough competitor in Beck Rawlings in her first fight back from that hiatus after her first loss in the UFC and her time away from Dancing with the Stars. So, I mean, and for her to, I mean, showing new tricks, that fancy switch kick knockout. I mean, my goodness, that's certainly the best she's looked. And Beck Rawlings, she was looking really good in that fight too. She was putting together some solid combos. She was putting it on Paige. They were both showing good chin in that fight, in my estimation. And Paige, she definitely has a lot of time to grow, a lot of time to learn, and she could definitely go big places. She's definitely a top talent already, Jake. I dare say she has what it takes to at least be, absolutely top 10, probably closer to top 5 talent, just as is right now in the UFC women's strawweight division.
Yeah, and moving up the card, Pettis getting back in the win column, which I think was really important for his career, just his overall psychology. He'd lost 3 in a row, back in the win column, looking good at featherweight. He didn't seem drawn out or anything. In fact, he won the fight in the 3rd round. What do you do next for Pettis? I'm looking at the featherweight rankings now. Pettis wasn't ranked at featherweight before this fight. Now he is, and they slotted him at 6th. Right above Jeremy Stevens. Does Stevens have a fight coming up yet? I think he fought.
He fought recently.
Little Heathen. Yeah, he beat Henan Barrow in May, and does not have a fight lined up yet. That would be fun. Pettis Heathen.
Oh, that'd be a fantastic fight. And you know what? I mean, that would actually be perfect, because that is the kind of fighter that Anthony Pettis traditionally has had the most trouble with. A fighter that can wrestle him and just grind him out. I mean, again, we saw in this fight with Oliveira, Pettis, he's got good grappling skills. He's got very good jiu-jitsu. We saw lots of great reversals and sweeps in his fight with Oliveira, who's super crafty himself. I mean, these guys are great next generation Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners. But we have seen, Clay Guida with the smothering, Eddie Alvarez. I mean, he won a chance at the UFC lightweight championship, basically just smothering Anthony Pettis. Kind of a controversial decision at that, but Jeremy Stevens definitely has what it takes to pull off a similar game plan. He's got a similar skill set, and man, he's got those heavy hands. He's known for finishing people, and he's a good striker. Still, I would not say he's got the acumen that Pettis does. Not really. He doesn't have the full arsenal of tricks, but he does have that power. He's got brutal power. I think that'd be a really fun matchup. Certainly, you would think Anthony Pettis would get a high name recognition opponent after his victorious debut.
Yeah, and bringing us back up to what you were talking about, Carlos Condit and Damian Maia. All 3 of us were on that Condit train. Odds saw the fight very even, and none of us got it right. Maia subbed him out quick in 1:52 in the 1st round. I don't know. You've got to give Maia either the title shot next or a bona fide title eliminator fight next. You have Woodley there as the champion. Lawler, for some reason, is ranked number 1, which I've heard rumors of a Lawler Cerrone fight on that UFC 205 card in November. If we got that, it would be fucking amazing. So not sure what's next for Lawler. He's not going to get a rematch, though. So you either give Woodley Wonder Boy, you either give him Damian Maia, or the money fight, whether that's George St. Pierre or Nick Diaz, or whoever. If you give Woodley the money fight, the obvious thing to do is to make Wonderboy Maia for a bona fide title shot. I don't know. I think it's hard to argue that either one doesn't deserve a shot because they're both on incredible streaks. But if I had to choose between Maia and Thompson, I would say Maia, just because his strength of opponent, in my opinion, is just a little bit better, and it tips over big time with this Condit win. Condit, who's number 4 currently. Yeah, man, I think Condit's an absolute beast, and it sucks that that he's thinking about retiring. I think he said post-fight that he just doesn't know if he has it in him anymore. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch, so I'd be bummed out if he chose to retire. But dude, Maia, just, I don't know if we've ever seen a fighter this scary on the ground, and he's getting better and better at bringing the fights to the ground. I said if Condit lost, it would probably be because of that lack of defensive wrestling. That's been the big hole in his game his entire career. But Maia's getting better and better at bringing the fight to the mat, and once it's to the mat, you're not gonna survive long in the water with an absolute great white of a grappler. Yeah, I would personally like to see Maia get the next title shot, but I'm not sure if that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I would certainly think Thompson would be in line before Maia. I mean, Maia has a great streak, great wins, great list of names on there. But for some reason, I think, especially, well, when you look at it with Stephen Thompson, what he was able to do to Rory McDonald, who beat Damian Maia. I mean, of course, MMA math, we all know how that goes. It's not 100%. But Thompson does have that, as well as his absolute first-round massacre of Johnny Hendricks. I mean, it's really hard to argue his case. Although some could say that Damian Maia beat Matt Brown, and Matt Brown was the last person to beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, so there you have it. But as it goes, I think, certainly I'm with you, Jake. If they give Tyron Woodley the money fight, be that, I don't even know what they'd be thinking of doing. If they'd be thinking of doing Conor McGregor versus Tyron Woodley, I wouldn't doubt they'd make that happen. I mean, Conor McGregor just winning that fight at 170. Now he's a viable contender in the welterweight division, you guys. I mean, come on now. He's got a W at 170 pounds against a top contender. Well, not really. But a guy whose brother is a top contender at the 170-pound division. But if they don't give Tyron the money fight in either McGregor or GSP, I would think it would be Wonderboy. And then maybe have Maia sit back for the winner of that to take him on for a title. I don't know. Or maybe just, give him another fight, a legit number one contender fight, or even just a fight to stay warm while he's on the sidelines waiting for a title. But I feel like old Maia, he's gonna need one more to get it done, sadly.
And man, that fight against Wonderboy would be real fun. One of the best that's classic striker versus grappler, but at the highest level. I mean, you have Wonderboy, who has done things outside of MMA striking, Maia, who's done things outside of MMA grappling. That would be a hell of a lot of fun. Any other thoughts on the card before we move on?
No, solid scraps. Not a bad UFC.
Yeah, and I'm looking at these news and notes this week. Like I said, we didn't really have much news come down the pipe the last few days. UFC signs Marcin Held. Looking forward to seeing him get some action. I guess we'll probably hear. They threw Will Brooks in like immediately after signing him. So I guess we'll keep our ear to the ground about a potential first opponent for him. Kelvin Gastelum versus Jorge Masvidal. I think that was announced tonight. That was really the only bit of news along with the GSP stuff. I think Gastelum, whether it's standing up or on the ground, I think he starches him.
Oh man, that is bold, Jake. I mean, I don't know about on the feet. Masvidal, game bred, bro, game bred. I mean, Kelvin has looked much improved on the feet, especially in his Johnny Hendricks victory. He really pieced Johnny up on the feet, but I feel like Jorge, he's just got too much length, and he's quick for 170 pounds. He's got some pop on those punches too. We've seen him get some solid stoppage victories. I don't think Gastelum really wants to play on the feet with Masvidal. I think he's going to want to take this on the ground, grind it out, try and get a submission. But Gamebred, man, that's my dude. He's tough everywhere the fight goes. I feel like he's probably going to be the underdog in this one, and I feel like he's probably going to be a live underdog in this one. I mean, I don't know if Kelvin is able to get through him with some kind of ease. I'll definitely be much more sold as Gastelum on a contender. I mean, he's been so up and down, Jake.
Yeah, and I'm looking now. That's going to be at UFC. The Tough Latin America 3 finale in Mexico City, Mexico, November 5th. 2 miles up as far as cardio goes. Gastelum's definitely going to need to make sure he's ready to fight at that higher elevation. Masvidal seems to have a pretty good track record with cardio. And actually, I'm looking at it now. The Polish submission specialist, Marcin Held, actually has been given an opponent on this same card. He's going to be fighting former lightweight title challenger Diego Sanchez. So that should be a fun fight.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, so we got Kelvin Gastelum, which I think it's a weird, I feel like it's, if anything, a little step down. Right? He just beat Johnny Hendricks, and now he gets Jorge Masvidal, which, nothing against him. Just I feel like Johnny was a little bit higher up the totem pole. But, it'll give Kelvin a chance to get another victory, as the top of the welterweight division has been kind of a bit of a log jam, like we just talked about with Maia and Wonderboy and Woodley and Lawler and all those guys. Any other news? We're going to be getting smashed by a hurricane tomorrow here in Tallahassee, Florida, so I gotta go buy some gallons of water and some candles. And prepare for not having power or the internet, which would be a little shitty, but hey, I can fire up a candle and read a book for once. I don't see any other news except to get to this Saturday, card number 3 of 9 of the 9 straight UFC Saturdays they've given us. This one from Hamburg, Germany. Did you have any other news before we get to the card, Pat? Anything
No,
good for us?
I think that's about it, man. It was pretty barren as far as news went this week.
Yeah. We got to fire up the Stacking Chips segment on slow weeks like this. Give us some betting tips for the upcoming fights. Speaking of which,
I gave it to him last week, Jake.
Yeah.
The Jim
Speaking
Miller.
of which,
I hope everybody listen.
Yeah, I'm looking at the odds of Arlovski Barnett. It should be a pretty close fight. But let's do what we usually do. Start with the prelims. Honestly, I don't see much that interests me. I might not watch the prelims. When your prelims are being headlined by Jim Wallhead and Jessen Iari at welterweight, I've heard of Wallhead. I've never even heard of the other guy. Hustam Kabalov stands up. He is a minus 420 favorite in Vegas. But actually, you know what? Looking at all of these odds, most of these are listed pretty closely. A lot of even fights, so that usually leads to some fun finishes when you have evenly skilled guys. Tae Hyung Bang, an underdog to Nick Hine. Ryan Bader looks like a favorite over Ilir Latifi. Gustafsson, a huge favorite over Jan Blachowicz. That's the biggest sway of the night. Gus at minus 750. Vegas thinks he's going to absolutely demolish him. Your thoughts on all these fights?
Oh man, actually, you know what? I'm pretty stoked for this card. I mean, really, this it's not bad. It's. I mean, what is this? Just 10-fight card. Not the most fights, but this should be pretty sweet from top to bottom. I mean, Ashley Evans Smith, she's a game fighter versus Veronica Macedo. Rustam Havilov versus Leandro Silva for the second fight. Scott Askham, he's a game middleweight. Not too familiar with Jack Hermanson, but should be decent. And then Jim Wallhead. I'm very surprised. I did not know Jim Wallhead getting signed at the UFC. Completely went under the radar. Another gentleman I was lucky enough to have the pleasure of interviewing back in the day. But he's got a very solid skill set. Of course, Judo Jim. You can guess what his specialty is, but he's got some solid hands too, and he's been known to knock a few fools out. So I'm definitely, I'd have to say, as far as prelims are concerned, that is the highlight of the prelims for me. And then the main card, solid. Nick Hine, he's a good German talent. Tae Hyung Bang, I can't recall for some reason. If I'm being completely honest. But Ryan Bader versus Ilir Latifi, solid scrap. Very similar versions of each other. Ryan Bader just a little bit bigger, but at least height-wise, but both very heavy hands, solid boxing, solid wrestling. Should be a good scrap. Latifi has been on a roll. Bader has been on the downward spiral, it seems, as of late. So will be interesting to see how that one plays out. I wouldn't be surprised if Latifi came in there just clean Bader's clock, Jake. He's just been showing those sledgehammer hands. Plus, he's got that low center of gravity. Could be some big problems from Bader all the way around. And then, Gustafsson versus Blachowicz. I think Vegas, I don't know about that minus 700. That's a bit ridiculous considering Gustafsson has also been very up and down himself. But just looking at skill sets, height, reach, stature, Gustafsson does have everything it takes to win this fight. He's got some good striking. But Blachowicz, he's a pretty big guy himself. He's got some solid fundamental striking himself. And with those long limbs of Gustafsson, if he swings and misses, it could be a bad time. So I'm certainly rolling with Gustafsson. I don't know about minus 700. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pull. And then I don't know. Are we digging deep into the main event here, Jake?
Yeah, let's dive in, man. What do you think about this matchup? Which I think it's underrated as hell. Oh man, a lot of people might look at it and be like, "Oh, they're both washed up." Dude, look at these guys' records the last few years. You have Andrei Arlovski, who's like who has like 11 wins and 3 losses. Those losses to Rumble Johnson, who of course you're going to lose that, the current champ Miocic, and the current title challenger in Overeem. You have Josh Barnett, who going back the last decade almost has only lost 3 fights to Cormier, which, of course you're going to lose that fight, to Travis Brown, where he just got caught in a weird spot and got the side of his head elbowed until the ref stopped it. And then a recent submission loss to Ben Rothwell. I mean, these guys don't lose a lot, and this is one of those fights where it's like, man, they're both legends. Somehow they've never fought each other before. I'm very stoked for it.
Yeah, absolutely, Jake. These guys, how they never met before. It's just, I want to say Barnett was the last champion before Arlovski came in, actually. I'd have to go back and brush up on my UFC history, actually. But be that as it may, somehow, whatever it was, like 2 ships in the night, they never ended up crossing paths. But man, it's finally going to happen in this Germany card. And like you mentioned, Jake, I mean, a lot of people are going to say, yeah, these guys are washed up. This fight should have happened a long time ago. And you know what? Could you say these fighters have seen better years in their career? Yeah, you could say that. I mean, but then again, they've been fighting in the UFC for, Barnett has been around for, I don't know, 12, 13, 15 years. Arlovski, close to the same thing. I want to say he made his UFC debut in like 2004 or something like that. So his record is just very extensive, both of them, really. And they are still very relevant at the top of the division. I mean, Andrei Arlovski, I want to say prior to his loss in his most recent fight was on a he was on a 5-fight win streak altogether, 4-fight win streak in the UFC before he ran into Miocic and then Overeem. As you mentioned as well, the 2 guys who were fighting for the title. So really, these guys have still shown that they have top tier talent, and no, it's going to be a great one, man. I really feel like Barnett. It's going to be such a tough one to call, Jake. I hate calling the heavyweight fights, but dang, I think Arlovski just has a little more all the way around. I think he's got some solid grappling, and I think the hands are just a little bit better. And typically, when all else fails, I tend to give it to the guy that has more weapons in their toolbox. And I don't think that Josh Barnett is a huge threat to knock out Andrei Arlovski. And as Arlovski has also shown in his last UFC run, his chin perhaps isn't as shot as people thought it was previously. But yeah, I don't think Josh Barnett is really going to be the guy to test that chin. So then again, I didn't think that Ben Rothwell would be the guy to submit Josh Barnett. So shows how much I fucking know. But be that as it may, close fight as far as I'm concerned. But I'd have to go with Arlovski here in this meeting of the legends.
And you have Josh, who's probably going to be looking to clinch it up, grapple more, try and tie up Andre. He's probably a little bit stronger, definitely the better grappler. Look to be sticky in there. Andre, who will want to strike. He's got a great chin. He's great. He's a international master of sport in Sambo. He's a great kickboxer, a great boxer. It's going to be close, and Vegas, the odds see it as such. Actually listing Barnett a slight favorite at -150. Andre coming in +130 on the other side. The one thing that I think is going to make the difference in this fight is Yoda. And Andrei Arlovski has Yoda in his corner. He has Greg Jackson. He has the master in his corner. And when it comes to drawing out game plans, and when it comes to making adjustments in fights, and when it comes to rallying, I mean, he is the full package as far as drawing up these master game plans and giving fighters the right tips during the fight and keeping them motivated. And, giving them a pat on the back. He's famous for that clip. Go get some, Donald Cerrone. I mean, just, whether it's on the motivation side or the technical side, Greg Jackson's the best coach out there. And he's going to be in Andrei Arlovski's corner. And I think that's going to make a big difference. And I think we see Andre maybe win a decision against Josh Barnett, or maybe knock his ass out. I mean, Josh has only lost by knockout twice in his storied career, but hey, I'm not leaving that out of contention there. Who do you? Or wait, no, you picked already, didn't you? I was spacing out there for a second.
Yeah, that is correct. I went with Arlovski myself, and
that's right.
I think could be a decision or TKO. Wouldn't be surprised if he got that TKO though, man.
And I think that does it with cards, MMA news this week. We're only 41 minutes in. But wasn't the wildest, the most busy week. We don't have Ramses on to talk about Chinese conspiracies. Guess I got hit the music here.
Dang, I didn't know that Chinese or that partnership was Chinese. Of course, I did a little research. I don't know, man. I'd love to get Ramses back on here to further discuss some of that, but. Interesting business, really.
Very interesting. Thanks for tuning in. Follow us on Twitter, the MMA Podcast. We try and do it on Wednesdays. Click the links at the top. iTunes, YouTube. Happy birthday, Hannah. Shout out to who else? Shout out to shout out to you, the listener. Thank you for listening and keeping it going. Pat, you have anything for the people before we go?
Oh, God bless the people, Jake. We love the people, the babies, the women, the children, the adult males 18 to 45 that listen to the show and subscribe on iTunes. God bless y'all, and can't wait for the fights this week and to break them down with you next week, Jake.
Indeed, buddy, indeed. Twitter, I already gave it to you, the MMA Podcast. That's where to follow us for the most part. You can follow us on Facebook too. Thanks for listening. Till next week, we gone.
Shut up, Jake. Tune into the MMA Podcast every Tuesday night.
Got the wild style, always been a foul child. Realize, sucker, I be the coming like Noah.
The MMA Podcast, Jake is the host. And since Ramsey's been in a wheelchair, the Aunt Jimmy Show has been on a roll. I wanna say John Jones is a host, so I think that I'll pick up the phone and dial 213-457-3380. We got hot takes on the stove. You get blood on your clothes if you're sitting in the front row. I throw on my gi and then I lace the hoops. I'll have Gal lying down cause he ain't the truth. And if Alan wasn't a cop, I'd mention you. And shout out to Ross Finkelstein the Jew. Cause according to you, you're an MMA guru. Approved Bisbing lost his hands, Count Dooku. If you're a fancy boy, you get a 2-minute slot. Mystery wants a title shot. So listen to the MMA Podcast. Throw a high kick, but I block that. Call me Diaz, screaming George, where you at? I want the strap. When you know that I'll never tap. So listen to the MMA Podcast. Throw a high kick, but I block that. Call me Diaz, screaming George, where you at? I want the strap. And you know that I won't tap. Mystery. The MMA Podcast. Most of us just live and breathe this fighting shit. Shout out to Jake. Shout out to Jake.